Secretary Rubio announced a deal this week that would allow potentially American citizens who are criminals to be put in a different country. Is that something you're looking to do?
No, I didn't know that he announced that yet, but if he did, that's fine, yeah. We have hardened criminals, horrible people. You see them pushing people into subways. The train is coming last week. Guy walking around, just sees somebody waiting for the train. Train's coming 40 miles an hour. And he gets pushed into the subway. And that happens all the time. These are sick people. If we could get them out of our country, we have other countries that would take them. It's no different than a prison system, except it would be a lot less expensive, and it would be a great deterrent. Send them to other countries. If we could go a step further, in other words, we're talking about getting the criminals out of our country that come in through other countries illegally, right? The illegal migrants, as I call them. Well, we have people that are just as bad as them in our country. If we could get them out, I'd be very happy.
First, obviously, he continues with full cooperation on the returning of Salvadorians who find themselves illegally in the United States and welcome them back home. And that's already existing, and that will continue. But second, he has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails. And third, he has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence.
It appears that no one truly knows the legal implications of whether or not the United States can send its prisoners to El Salvador. But El Salvador is willing, and Dumpy is willing. So it seems like that's what's going to happen. Now, the claims are that the worst of the worst, so to speak, will be going to the mega prison in El Salvador, which is a horrific place. It houses 40,000 people. It opened in 2023. And from what is available online about the facility, it sounds like a living nightmare. Windowless cells, people sleeping on a metal, like a bench essentially. Temperatures exceedingly hot. More people packed into a cell than should be by a lot. Inmates stay in their cell 23 and a half hours a day. There's a 30-minute exercise period down a long corridor. To say that it is a horrific place for human rights is an understatement. And apparently we're going to be sending detainees there. Now, the claim is that Dumpy is only going to send illegal immigrants who have committed crimes to the mega prison, but I don't believe that for a second. We are entering territory that we've never seen before, and that means that it is suddenly within reach that if you have a bad day and have a crime like I did, an accident where you end up in prison, now there's a chance that you might not be held in the state or even country that you're from. And that is horrifying as far as human rights and dignity is concerned. I want to make it very clear, I am not anti-punishment. Before I became a criminal, I was a victim first. I was listed on legal paperwork as the victim of a crime. And the person who was charged with a crime was charged with a second-degree aggravated assault felony, which was a worse, more severe crime than my third-degree negligent homicide charge. But his charges were dismissed because the primary victim and witness was incarcerated. So I would really love to see that person be held accountable. But there's a difference between holding someone accountable for their actions and punishing someone. And there's a difference between issuing a punishment and and cruel and unusual punishment. And we have really quickly slid into the cruel and unusual section, where I would not wish those conditions upon anyone. We don't know whether or not people will be sent to El Salvador for sure. More on that to come, I'm sure. I've read reports that the first planes left for Cuba today, for Guantanamo, and it was 2 military planes, which is also unprecedented because previously immigrants did not travel by military plane. So we are in scary and uncharted circumstances. And we need a coup. We need a riot. We need a protest. I mean, more that folks, we're past a protest here. You remember when the government lost all of those children that were seized at the Mexican-American border, who were taken from their families, and still to this day there are children who have not been reunited with their parents. That was in the hundreds of people affected. Now we're talking about tens of thousands and likely more. This is a genocide. We are actively in a genocide that the American government is perpetrating against migrants, against its own citizens, against a very long list. So this is a coup. This is a hostile takeover of American government. We need to change this.